Funding can also be dangerous because when you have a lot of money, you can instantly start doing a lot of stupid shit. You can be a shitty idiot that knows nothing and has no money, but if you're a great speaker and you get on a stage in a conference, the perception about you is that you're worth listening to, right? Just because you're there is bon appetit. It's a good one. Because it's more like a sanity factor. You just have to have it, but it's not gonna make you successful. If you're in a small company and there's like 5 people and you're the CEO, you're gonna do everything. You're right,
Yeah, it depends on the scale.
A nice ego massage. You know, when you have articles about you on some front page, man, you feel fucking important.
Have you ever wondered what are the highest leverage activities you can actually do as a business owner to go from 0 to 100 million per year? And today I have a business owner who has businesses doing 200 million plus per year, and he was a CEO doing 100 million per year himself in the businesses, and I have a business that does 1 million. So I'm a small guy in business world. But we have prepared things you can do, action items you can actually do, and we're gonna tier list them, bam, 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 low, medium to high leverage activities. Let's start off with number one. Fundraising, because that's your big experience. Can you tell us how much funds have you raised by yourself?
We have some cake coming in. This
is advertising pause. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna have
some sirsniņas. We have hearts. Amazing.
How do you say this in English?
This clingers.
Klinger.
I don't know. Okay, we'll have that later.
Funding. The thing is funding. Is it high leverage, medium leverage, low?
I think funding is the highest, one of the highest you can get. Why? Because with funding you can experiment. I mean, there's all these reasons why funding helps, but funding can also be dangerous because when you have a lot of money, you instantly start doing a lot of stupid shit, and you start becoming a lot more reckless. Because you just know that, okay, if I do these mistakes, if it doesn't work, it's all fine. We can continue growing and so on. So anyway, funding, I say, is high. My whole business, in my experience, I come from, funding intensive companies, lending, did a bit of real estate, IT, which also was requiring a lot of funding. And so without funding, you can't really do anything. And funding also, both equity and debt. Equity, raise money from investors to test out, to build your product, to build your business. And debt you raise when you have an established business model, you know that you are profitable or you can make profit, and then you raise debt to increase your business, right? But there are some businesses, I would imagine in your case, in your scenario, equity funding to hire people, experiment with sales channels, figure out, different kind of sales strategies, getting better people, etc., is something that works. Debt funding probably for you doesn't make sense. So
1 to 2 tips, ideas how someone can get funding if they want funding.
Yes. Okay. So for startups, let's put it. It's more easy for startups to define how much funding you need, what you need it for. Let's say if you have started a company or if it's already like on the ground, you need to scale it. That means you need 500 to $1 million extra funding to grow the business in various ways. Define exact amount you need, how you're going to spend it, and then instead of try to raise money from this one professional investor, split this funding need in smaller chunks. Let's say like you need 500,000, so you start looking for tickets starting with 20,000 euros, right? And then it's much easier to, let's say, get some people to commit, and you get 100,000. Then get one big VC that you need to convince, and it's a professional to give you this whole 500,000 ticket. So splitting it in smaller tickets, and the third that I've mentioned in the live events that we've had, that you have organized, is to not give away equity too early, but instead go to investors and say, okay, give me 50,000, and you will get shares when my company starts growing and has like real revenue and professional investors, and then you will get shares at a discount on the valuation. You will get more shares than you would get when you would invest like 5 years later. So that's another strategy. Convertible debt, it's called. So those are the two steps: small chunks and convertible debt.
Funding, let's do it. That's high leverage. I have personally no experience in this, so I'm not gonna speak about it because who the heck am I to talk about it? So number 2, culture building.
Culture building. I think it is.
Where do you rank it? And I'll give my ranking.
First of all, I don't think you build culture. I think you have it.
Okay.
And you have it by focusing on the right things that make sense for the business. And I think I would 100 times out of 100 would choose a company that doesn't have official culture. Nobody knows what are the values of the culture of the company, and there are no posters. You don't have Friday pizza events and stand-up events and things like that. But the company that's growing very fast and profitable or successful, and that means the culture is there. It doesn't need to be written or manifested. It helps. It would be low leverage. I would say it's low leverage. But the culture comes from having great people that focus on the right things, and you don't need to necessarily manifest it in different ways. I call it low leverage.
In my opinion, I would put it as a high leverage because, in my experience, as soon as I'm more focused on the people, like how we're gonna perform, what we're gonna do, the performance has improved, and that's just like my current reality.
Yes,
I look at it. So, based on our answers, it goes to the medium.
Okay.
So, culture goes into the medium leverage. Next one, speaking at conferences.
Wow, man. That's a good one.
I can start. I think speaking at conferences is super, super low leverage. I think,
yes.
yeah. For me, it's like low leverage. It's not.
I mean, yes, it's yes and no. So I think it depends on what you want to achieve. If you want to get a lot of funding, or if you have a lot of funding and you want to be well known in the industry, and that maybe helps you get either more investors or more customers, and you can get on stages of big shows, then speaking at conferences creates perception. You can be a shitty fucking idiot that knows nothing and has no money, but if you're a great speaker and you get on a stage in a conference, the perception about you is that you're worth listening to, right? Just because you're there. Okay. But surely, if we look at many companies that are never, company representatives are never in any conferences, they're not speakers, and they're extremely successful, then you can say, yes, it's not critical, it's a low leverage item.
You also put it that low?
I would say
so it goes to the low. Okay, let's have something that I think is going to be an interesting thing. The next thing is paid ads, running paid ads, or leveraging the power of paid ads. In my opinion, I have built my own business based on paid ads, mostly because they are the main channel of getting us customers. And I have interviewed multiple people doing 7 figures, 8 figures, and 9 figures, and all of them
do paid ads.
Yes,
and they spend a lot of money. Agree. I think the good thing with paid ads is not that it's clear that it's nowadays the best way efficiently to get customers. It's not maybe a great way to build branding, for example. Yeah. Branding is a different story. Yeah. But not many companies get to a position where they build brand, right?
Yeah.
There are companies that invest all their effort into a great product, and then it's a word of mouth. It's viral and so on. So they don't need to do paid ads. Those are rare cases. Those are fantastic businesses, but those are rare cases. Most of the businesses will need some form of paid ads. In my company, we have to buy customers all the time. The good thing, what I want to say is, with paid ads, unlike in the past, you can test a lot of things and you can switch on and off, and you pay for performance. So that's fantastic. So
high, where do you rank it?
High.
High. Paid ads go into high. Next one, headhunting C-level people for your business to grow the business. Personally, I have only headhunted 2 people like that who were actual managers in bigger companies doing good salary, and they come to us. And in both cases, I can say that paid off tremendously because they know what to do. They do it. They're not need to be micromanaged. Yes. They're like executives.
Yes.
Like that guy. Okay, you didn't see, but that guy is like exactly like that because he was coming from a company that does 3 million per year.
Right.
In the same industry, the same offer.
So that's what you're planning to do next year. In 2025, yeah. So that he came like what, 2 years ago?
No, to 6 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, great. And I'm like, wow.
Exactly.
Because how I headhunted him, funny story. So he was managing their sales team.
Yeah.
And I just found him on LinkedIn. I was like looking at his name. He's like Latvian name, but works in an American company. I was like, who's this guy? I find him on Instagram. Oh yeah, like Latvian guy. Send him message.
So you headhunted him yourself?
Myself, yeah.
Amazing.
Myself.
Yes, amazing.
So I would say super high leverage. What do you think?
I would say also very high. I mean, a lot of people we have hired across different countries, especially if you're not in your home country. If you're in a home country, it's easier. You can always get some common connections, etc. But if you're entering something where you have very little infrastructure, then it's super high. But there are some cases where it just doesn't work, or if you are not experienced with dealing with these contractors that charge a lot of money, or you don't know exactly what you need, there can be some pitfalls, but I would say it's high.
What kind of tips do you have? Because I think you have done this multiple times with CEOs who actually run 10 million, 50 million businesses. Like, what tips, advice?
first of all, you need to try to really think, what is it that you need from that position? What type of person? Uh, like, we can go back to the culture. I don't culture. I call it maybe mentality. Like, what type of let's say we are entering a new country, and therefore it will be a startup, but it's not a startup in a classic mode that will have to figure out a business model. We have a business model; it just needs to be launched from scratch, right, in a new market. So that means I need an entrepreneurial, business development oriented, high risk tolerance, start it yourself person, instead of a great process manager that knows how to manage hundreds of people, right? And so defining that in your own simple terms is bon appetit. It's a good one. This cake was sent to my office from Avafin Green Finance, from the company I sold. So if anybody is watching from Avafin, thanks for the cake. It ended up on Nick's desk.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
So there's a whole
A little
story
bit dry.
there. It's
a little bit dry.
because it was there in the kitchen for a day. So
that's why it's dry.
that's why I took it here. So I think it's very important to know what exactly you need, and in clear terms, like salary range you're ready to pay, experiences, blah blah blah, but more in terms of what type of person you need. So yeah.
Next thing is using influencers to get customers for your business. I think this is something new. This is a new topic because influencers are becoming more and more powerful. I think you can look at as a great examples, Mr. Beast, Feastables, Mike Tyson, Dwayne Johnson, the Ding, or Conor McGregor, Proper 12. So that's becoming more and more massive. In my experience, I have tried it, have gotten bad results, no results basically.
Okay.
Have gotten followers, but no direct customers. So I'm selling end-to-end marketing system development, helping with lead gen, helping with sales. So that's what I'm selling. And I would rank this as is a medium, because I think if I get Tony Robbins to endorse me, I would probably get gajillion customers, right? So what are you thinking about this?
I think so our experience, I can speak from my experience, is we have used influencers, some of the biggest actors or famous people in particular countries. I mentioned Sri Lanka, actually. Like, that was one of the cases. He was like, we used a guy that was a top online, I think, some kind of online influencer. He wasn't a professional actor or a singer. He was very well known. I think millions of followers he had. He was endorsing our product, appearing in our marketing campaigns, but he was basically a branding, help for us. So he helped with branding, establishing credibility for our brand, for our business. So that has worked. That has been very good in terms of direct. And similarly, we have used well-known people, influencers in other countries for our branding campaigns, TV campaigns, radios, etc., etc. In terms of direct sales, I have not had experience where we get an influencer to create a buzz about our product and then everybody sells, everybody buys from us. Yes, I have not had that experience. I know that works and it happens, but I think it needs to match a lot of criteria and needs to fit somehow perfectly for that kind of direct sale to happen from using influencers. So I'd say it's medium to low.
Medium. Okay, let's do two to mediums. Yeah. Influencers go to medium. Next one, similar to influencers, creating organic content.
Yeah, man. We actually spoke about this. I had a call with my CEO that is now working on this lending products business in Mexico just today, and we were speaking about building more presence online about our company, because we are a group of successful fintech businesses, and we have also a company I started lending in Mexico back in 2017. But in terms of this new venture, nobody really knows about it, right? We have a website, etc., but we want credibility. We want to target corporate customers, B2B customers, and we want them to go online and check our name on Google and see, okay, we have articles, interviews, blah, 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 blah. And we don't have that. And we agreed, okay, we need to engage a marketing agency to have at least solid amount of minimum presence online about us that gives third party kind of references that increases, us as a credible service provider. So I would say organic content, but it's organic. Yeah, I would say it's necessary, it's mandatory to some extent, but it's not something that's going to make or break your company. So in terms of leverage, medium.
You go medium.
Yeah.
About content, I can say we have 2 channels we're making. This one is in English worldwide, and we have a Latvian channel which is doing tremendously well. It's number 1 in Latvia. Again, in terms of direct impact for the business, very, very low, but it has a good kind of this nurturing mechanism for my company at least. And based on what I see other people doing in my space, specifically my space, which is like marketing kind of agency space, I think content has a huge potential because nowadays people less trust people because they have been sold multiple times and they have been, buying bad services or services that don't produce value. So I think, in my opinion, it's very, very high. So it's in high, medium.
Right.
So let's put it, where do we put it?
High.
Let's put it high. Creating content is a good thing. And we're also doing it right now. So, we're like, high leverage activity.
But this influencer economy overall, influencer content creation economy it's a booming thing, and it will only be more and more leverage for any business.
Exactly. Completely agree. Next thing, cold outbound. Using cold outbound to get customers. Is it good, bad?
Depends on what customers. I mean, B2C customers, probably it's okay. I mean, your what's it called, spam email. I mean, everybody that sells something that's very low ticket consumer based product sends emails, messages, so high leverage. It makes sense. The productivity is low. It's like a few percent, but I mean, that's how you can get volume anyway.
Have you done it in your company?
Yeah, for sure. We do it across different countries, different markets. Emails, text messages, direct messages, as you mentioned, calls. Sometimes, if we can legally obtain a phone number of a person, so we can give them a call, like telesales, we do that. So that's definitely a big part. So for us, it's a high leverage kind of approach. But if you're talking B2B, if you're engaging corporate customers, then from my experience, reaching out through even LinkedIn or sending some emails, etc., it has like very low productivity, very low leverage. You need more warm intros. So it depends. B2C high, B2B low.
Yeah, I personally have tried it multiple times, hoping to have it worked. Probably didn't do enough effort to make it work. In my opinion, also low leverage thing that needs. It's like basically the more inputs, the more outputs. But it's not like it needs like huge inputs. So let's put cold outbound in the low category.
More or less, yeah.
Let's talk about building SEO blog content. Have you have any experience in this? Because me personally, super little, and like this is something like a blue ocean for me, which I don't understand.
SEO blog content, right?
Yeah.
I did it 2010, so that's 14 years ago.
Yeah,
I did it. I spent hours, right? I mean, we built the first website in our lives. We basically did it ourselves. We didn't code it. We had the platform, but we all the content and how it looks like and fits together, we did it ourselves. All the wording of the actual website and the SEO, like all the links with some articles, etc. We wrote all of that. Yeah. We created some landing pages also that would lead to our product page. I did a lot of it. It was probably all a waste. I mean, it was, again, learning experience for somebody that does anything in business for the first time, right? I learned what is SEO, how does it work, what are backlinks, what's authority of backlinks and things like that. I remember these terms like from 15 years ago. And working in an online environment, obviously it's good to be equipped with knowledge, but whether that is a high, I mean, it's just a small thing that you can hire some specialist to do, and I would not assume it creates massive leverage in the business because it's more like a sanity factor. You just have to have it, right? But it's not going to make you successful, right? Other things are going to make you successful, but it needs to be there because it's going to be easier to find you online, and everybody that operates online has to have it. And so that's a low, for me, it's a low.
Low tier. In my opinion, I have seen companies do tremendously well with organic, this SEO stuff, because they, like one example is my friend was working in the company Paybis.
Yep.
There's a crypto company, and they were trying to just rank Bitcoin. Ranking that term is basically make or break their making millions or making billions, basically, if you're on top of that keyword. So I think it's a high leverage. Let's put it, I think, a medium leverage. But again, I think the biggest point which I'm getting from you when we're talking more and more, it's like you as the owner's founder shouldn't do it probably, but it's a necessary thing for the business as a whole.
Yes.
So just like
Exactly, and not only as a owner, but as a CEO, you shouldn't do it. Obviously, right?
yeah, exactly.
But if you're in a small company and there's like 5 people and you're the CEO, you're going to do everything. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
write the, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the scale. What do you think about PR, like public relations? Is that important, or should you like, oh shit, don't care reputation?
I've had like constant fights with some of my colleagues, managers back in the day, whether PR is good or whether it helps or not. Clearly, clearly, it's another tool that if you use wisely, you have funding for, and it is the right timing and the right execution, it can do magic. I mean, I mentioned on the on your show, Credit Tech company, right? They did the best PR in the world, or in Europe at least. In terms of fundraising, they were all on all the stages. They had this packaging of their product. They're doing this. They had this soundbite, 10,000 data points scoring, right? And everybody was like fucking like salivating out of their mouth, thinking that this is like, you know, heaven sent, you know, new thing. And it was all bullshit. It was all made up PR crap. But based on that, they raised so much money at insane amounts of valuation. So of course it worked massively for them. On the other side, there are companies we compete with that are worldwide massive businesses, and they do zero PR. All they do is execution, you know, work on their product, and that works for them as well. So I don't know. It can be both very high, very low. Depends on your kind of, you know, your own
the
strategy.
situation or the business model.
Yes.
Let's put it in the middle. Let's put it in medium. PR medium. Let's do one more.
PR is a nice ego. A nice ego massage, you know, when you have articles about you in some front page, man, you feel fucking important. But then people, these 20-year-old people, or like people that know nothing about business, they confuse success, like actually truly successful entrepreneurs, with people that are on, magazine covers. You know, it's not necessarily the same thing. It's often the same, but it's not necessarily the same.
Next thing and the last thing: customer testimonials or case studies.
Okay.
How important is it to grow a company? It is important to have some.
Yeah.
Is it massively important? Is it high leverage, medium leverage?
I don't know. From my experience, I think it's also another sanity check. If you have testimonials and they're well placed, they look real, or ideally they are real, then it's good. It gives a third party reference for new customers. I mean, I rely on customer references when I look on Booking, or I don't know, Amazon when I'm looking at books. And that's like a whole...
You look at it, for sure.
It's massive, right? For sure. Whether it's massive in all instances, of course not. So I would say depends. I would say medium.
Medium. I also think reviews, medium. Next thing, building out a sales team. I think huge. Like most big businesses that run, they have huge sales teams, and they have well-trained sales teams.
Yes.
I would put it as a high leverage for sure. What do you think?
I think very important. Yes, very high, and to do it early, because the job is to get the sales and then sometimes figure out how you're going to deliver it, instead of doing it the other way around.
And you get stuck in the nuances.
Yes,
how I'm going to deliver. Yeah. So I think that's it. That's a wrapper. Nice. If you like this episode, cool. Click the like. Let us know in the comments, maybe some questions. And let's go. See you on the next episode.
Nice cake, by the way.
Nice cake. Very dry, by the way, now. It's very dry. Very dry.
For that.
Okay. Cool.
Alrighty.